I went to Bearing Services and picked up a seal, and hopefully it's the right one. The shaft size is what this shaft size, and the OD is what this OD measures, so it should work. So anyway, I got to take this thing off, and looks like to get it off, this goes through the shaft, as you can see, and there's a set screw here. So I took the nut off the handle and then just turned the handle to lift this, and it pushed the handle off. So now I just got to turn that by hand the rest of the way to unthread it, and then I can get everything apart, and then I can clean this up. Yeah, you're right, I'll probably, you know, as long as it's apart, might as well clean it up, right? This thing came apart super easy. So what I did was I took out the bolts completely, because sometimes they're, you know, cut-ins on the shaft, but there wasn't. And I took out that set screw because it held this, and this moves in there, and you push that back, and then that threaded rod comes out, and then this just, you know, pulls straight off the shaft. And that seal fits over there nicely, and it looks like the same diameter as that. So I'm going to just drill a little hole in there, put a sheet metal screw in, and take my slide hammer with a pair of vice grips on it and just pop that seal out. Just going to drill a little tiny hole in it. I think I need to charge my battery. I don't know if this one's going to be any better. I haven't charged any of them in a long time. Whoops. Now, I may not have to drill two holes. Usually I do one on each side, so you can pull one side, then the other, and then one, then the other. But I'm just going to see if I can pull it out with a pair of pliers first, because it's not really in there all that great. Let me get something to tap on my pliers. If this doesn't work, I'll get the slide hammer out. Alright, let me get my slide hammer out. So I got this little adapter thing that goes on my slide hammer for vice grips. And you can still turn the vice grips to adjust the grab, and obviously my slide hammer thing. So just put this, see, I think I'll do it this way so I don't hit the camera. That's been on there pretty good. Oops. Looks like I need to drill a hole on the other side too. It's starting to pull out, but let me drill a hole on the other side. And the camera's kind of in my way, so I might not be able to video this. Well, I got the new seal in, and it's been running about 10 minutes. I set that timer to 20 minutes. And then I went in the house and did a couple things and came back out, and there's no leaks yet, but that seal's in further because the seal is quite a bit thicker. This is the original seal. You can see the number, I don't know if you can or not, it's 50245S. But I'll find a seal like this one if this one doesn't seal, but so far it is completely sealing. By now the other one would be all oily out here on the shaft. So I think it's ready to clean this stuff up here and reinstall it. I'm just going to let it run until the timer runs out, which is about another 8 minutes. Just see, maybe I'll go and have lunch, and then I'll come out and check to make sure it's not leaking. That ran about 20 minutes. Zero oil. I did put a little red Loctite around the outer edge of the seal, and I oiled the rubber part before I slid it over the shaft and installed it, but that looks like it's taking care of the oil leak. Well, like I say, seeing this was off and apart, and I just slapped a bunch of paint stripper on it, I feel, why not clean it up, you know? And I think I'm going to get some gloss black Rust-Oleum and just brush that. And I'm going to leave the red alone. That's original, and I kind of like it. But this black part, this was originally black. That's clear. The silver was over the black. And no oil seal leak yet. It's been sitting there for probably an hour now. And anyway, I just think it would look a little nicer with the base cast iron brush painted. You can see where somebody commented this isn't the original switch, and they couldn't be more right. You can see where it bolted in originally, and it looked like it was a round dial that was on there at one time. But that works, so that's what's going to be. I think it's the original switch. I just think it's a replacement cover thing. But anyway, we'll call that one good. It seems to work okay. But anyway, let me get the paint off this, and we'll get this thing cleaned up and back together. As you may have saw when this paint shaker was in the truck, it had rust on the threads of this, so I gave this a quick bead blast, and I gave these a quick bead blast. And I don't know if you noticed this or not, but left, right, the threads, so you know, can pull those things in. And this is the other one. I think this is the bottom one. This is the top one. They'll only go on one way because of the threads. And I didn't bead blast this, but I sanded those bars because, as you remember, if you look too, those were rusty also. So I took some 220 to them, just wiped this down. I didn't bead blast any of this. So I'm gonna attempt to put this thing back together. I painted the motor part. I picked up a power cord. I'll replace that in a few days once the paint's dry. And you know, so it'll be all together. I took this guard off so I could paint in there behind it, but I'm not going to paint the red. I want to keep some originality to it, and the red's actually pretty decent, so I'm just leaving it alone. And that seal has not leaked any, and it's been all day now. This is what I'm going to put on the threads, and in that, where it goes on that shaft, just so you know it doesn't rust on. And on the bars, I'm just going to use regular motor oil. That just pushes on the shaft, and then this drops down in. Gotta wiggle it a little bit at that thing, then you push this button in. I can't do this one-handed, so I'm going to have to turn the camera off. But anyway, you put the shaft down in, you push the button in, and push that in, tighten that Allen screw, and that holds this in place. And then you can thread the can supports on, but this has to go in first. And you know, it's pretty cut and dry. See how it, and then that, like I say, that pushes in. So I'm just gonna kind of put things together a little bit here so you can see how it goes, and then because I can't do this with greasy hands and hold the camera at the same time. There it is, new seal, a little bit of paint on it, cleaned up. Yeah, you guys know me better than me. You know, I mean, why not? This was off, that was easy access, it was all clean. Why not throw some paint on it? This was off, so why not throw it in the bead blast? Well, I took paint stripper to get the heavy stuff off, and then I threw it in the bead blast cabinet. But this is the paint I used to paint the base, and I had this, so yeah, I got paid $30 for the machine, spent $11.83 on the oil seal. This is where I got it from. Bearing Services used to be Detroit Ball Bearing. If you need a bearing or a seal, they're the place to go. I used to have this John Deere pressure washer, and there was a bearing in the pump that would go bad all the time, and at John Deere it was $120. At Bearing Services it was like $12. So yeah, it definitely pays to go to some place like this. So anyway, the seal's in. So for $41.83, I got a paint shaker. I put white grease on the threads here, and I put white grease on these threads just to kind of, you know, keep things from rusting. I sanded the rust off, as you saw, and there we go. Mix the paint I bought, that I had, a little bit more. I mixed it. It was down in the basement. I don't know how long it's been down there. I bought it probably back when I was working on the Galaxy for something, and I never used it. It was unopened. So I put it in the shaker before I started taking it apart to clean it up and fix the oil leak. And we'll just give it another shake just to see how things go now that it's all back together. New seal, no leak. It leaked before, whether it was running or not, because the oil in the crankcase is higher than that shaft of the seal, so it was running out and down the machine overnight. Now it's been sitting all day and hasn't leaked anything, so that definitely took care of the oil leak, for sure. So there we go. I'm going to leave this the way it is. Just kind of gives it that vintage look. So anyway, we've got a paint shaker all ready for projects. Keep your eye on my videos. I'm going to rebuild this and paint up that one. So when I get this all bead blasted and ready, I'll be mixing paint for it to paint it. Probably that gallon right there. One other thing I almost forgot to point out was this handle like this was broken off the side, and that was kind of sharp and jagged. So I ground that flat and then rounded it around. You know, I can grab my hand and twist it tight, but if I find a little piece of dowel rod, I can shape it like that and TIG weld it on there sometime in the future, but that works. This is the power cord. I bought it for another project and never used it. Whoops, hitting the camera. And it is I think it's a 16-2. Yeah, it's a 16 gauge. So that'll be fine for once, like I say, once paint's dry, I'll change out the power cord. And I think this one will be plenty long enough. I measured it and it's about 8 feet long, so that'll be a nice power cord on it. Wish I knew what that cost, and what that paint was probably about $10 or $12, and that might have been $4 or $5. You know, just kind of keep an idea, you know, because I did buy that, but for another project, and I used, you know, maybe that much out of the can on this. So I don't know if I can really count the paint as a cost on this, because like I say, it was from another project, and that was from another project too. But anyway, that's it for this video. If you like it, hit the like button. And everybody knew I was going to paint it up. So if you like my channel, subscribe. Hitting that 348 engine icon will do that. And thank you for watching my videos.